You asked me to speak about what's the inyan of breathing. Chassidus of Nachman as a whole. This is being taped now, yeah? You know, I'm being taped and put on the internet, and people call me from all over. I had a lady once call me there. So another time talk about it. But I understand a lot of people listen and they learn from it. So we have some strange people call about it too. So let me explain the question about. He was asking about what's the inyan of the breathing. So Nachman has a whole piece of Torah about the breathing. What he explains is that there's a person. He explains this way that every person to exist must breathe. You know that if you don't breathe, you pass out. If you don't breathe long enough, you just die. The breathing is that gives ipach ba'apov nishmas chaim. The bunch of blue in his nostril and nishmas chaim. Breathing is the life. So Rav Nachman explains there is hevel, called hevel, the pusik in Kelis. There's hevel that's mitzad the kedusha. There's the hevel mitzad the tumah. He says when a person is connected to this, he's on the wrong track. He's doing things that shouldn't be done. If he sighs, Rav Nachman says a big krechts. You know what krechts is? That's the Yiddish word of sighing, groaning. You literally pull yourself away from the negative hevel, and you put yourself in the kedusha the hevel, and literally you could pull yourself away and connect to kedusha. And that means if a person says, what in the world am I doing? He gives a krechts and says, oy vey. Chassidim know how to give a good krechts. Give a good krechts. That itself pulls you away from the negativity and puts you to the hevel of kedusha. Alex Sunek tried to explain Kabbalah what that is, but it puts you into hevel kedusha. And the other way around, the person says, why am I learning? Why am I doing so many good things? And he gives a sigh. He can pull himself away from the kedusha, and it puts himself in the tumah. Because in order to exist, you must breathe. And there's hevel the kedusha, and there's hevel, always the klal, zenu mazeh. You know, hevel was called hevel. You know that. And the Rizal explains, hevel, Moshe Rabbeinu was a Gilgal of hevel. Probably you heard this a little bit. Moshe Rabbeinu was a Gilgal of hevel. And hevel is gematria 37, because hevel was killed, and Yitzchak was the Keda. How old was Yitzchak at the Keda? 37. By the Keda was 37, the neshama of hevel had a tikkun then, because he was killed. There's a long Kabbalah in it. That's why the hevel is so important, because either you die if you don't breathe. Yitzchak was, there's a machlekes why Yitzchak died. Do you know that according to the Medrash, Yitzchak died at the Keda. That's why the second brucha of Shemoneh Esrei is Tchias HaMesim. The first Tchias HaMesim that existed in the world was Yitzchak. Yitzchak died, and there was Tchias HaMesim. So what did he die from? He lost his breath. He was so frightened. His father took a knife, and he says, do it, but he lost his breath, and he died. So that's why the Sod Hevel is on Yitzchak. But the point is, when a person breathes and he thinks about, I want to breathe Kedusha, I want to pull myself away from the negativity, you literally connect to Kedusha. Sometimes we're on the wrong track and we do things we shouldn't be doing. If you just say krechts, oy vey, you know what I mean? In this way, you literally, because when you do a sigh, Rav Nachman explains, you take a deep breath. You ever try it out? It releases tension. Try it out next time when you meditate. Sometimes before I start meditating and I'm all tensed up, I went through a tough time. My mother passed away. She was sick. I was back and forth, and when you give a big sigh, a lot of tension goes away, because it gives that's the sigh. But Rav Nachman says it's not only takes away tension, you literally connect to Kedusha. Sometimes you're so annoyed at ourselves. What are we doing? And you do it, he says, you literally connect to the Kedusha of it. And the other way around too. A person, sighs that he's in too much Kedusha. chas v'sholom, and even says a much more profound thing, which I will try today to we should meditate on. He says if a person sits and he longs for kedusha, I want to do the right thing today. I want to learn. I want to connect to Hashem. Just sitting and longing for Him. That it literally, when you breathe, then your thoughts could travel and can make another person from. You know, you ever notice sometimes you sit with something and you're both thinking about the same thought? You ever notice that? You ever had that? Most people have it. Just you're thinking of the person who just calls you. Now, the truth is you are connected. The reason you were thinking about it, I was thinking about someone from Eretz Yisrael I spoke for a long time, and guess what? A minute later he called me. The reason I thought about him, because he was thinking about me and was trying to reach me. That happens to lots of people. But there's such a power, if you sit, if you meditate enough, you could sit and you could feel the other person's feelings. Do you know that? Because if your person meditates a lot, you're much calmer, and you could literally feel the vibes of that. Even a guy could do this. I once met a non-religious Jew who I saw he was able to do it because he meditates a lot. So what happens is when you meditate, you calm down and you could feel much better. Part of our sometimes not feeling is our mind races, right? Sometimes your mind is racing, you're not tuned into others. When you're calmer, you're much more tuned into others. Calmness helps you to be connected to people. Isn't it true when your person's mind races, is all over the place, it's hard to be connected? I always tell people 2 things you connect to people. When you're calm and you're in a happy mood. When you're in a depressed mood, all you think about is my depression, your own depression. You know, you're so self-focused. If you're in a very happy mood, you could connect. How are you? How is it? And you really mean it, how are you? When you're self-pitying yourself in a bad mood, it's much harder. Anyways, that's a separate issue, but I'm trying to bring out the hevel, the breathing is a very powerful thing in Kedusha. And Nachman explains. So that's why one of the things I explained, I do for myself, is to calm down, I do the breathing, which most of you said helped, right? You tried it. It helps you to calm down. Now the next step is to focus on something positive. It's, anyone, were able to do it?
Yeah.
Able to focus on the positive afterwards?
I didn't do that part. I didn't.
What did you say?
I didn't remember to do that part. But focus on the positive.
You focused on Hashem, greatness of Hashem.
And I don't think that.
So what I tell people, we spoke about this, let me remind you again, but to do is focus on something that's painful for you. It could be a physical painful, emotional and painful. You know, I always tell people that part of living is that we have to put up and have Om Mishigasen. You know, Yiddish is a very powerful saying. You know, Yiddish there's a saying. Yiddish they say like this: every person has a Mishigas, just a Meshuggah has one too many. This famous Yiddish is saying that we all have, in America we call it idiosyncrasy. It's a nice fancy word. We all have a Mishigasen, just a person as we all. I sometimes when I feel like my inner thoughts are not calm and I'm shigasen, I focus that the Rebbeinu Shalom is right there with me. Am I uncomfortable with myself, or my mother was dying and it was so stressful. Just sat and thought that the Rebbeinu Shalom was right there with me, in my pain, right there with me under my pain, and it calms you down. Now, the Nachman says, I hope we'll be able to get there, you should verbalize this. Because you ever notice when you say something out, it has a much bigger power. Let me tell you a small story. Someone came to me and couldn't sit, and the story was that her father passed away out of Sukkot. She was very, very shaken up and she couldn't make peace. And she came to talk to me. I said to her, can you say out with your mouth, my father is dead? She couldn't say it out. She knew her father was dying. He had cancer for a long time. He wasn't young. He wasn't about that young. He was 80 years old. She had a hard time just saying to herself, my father died. Because when you say something out, it makes it much, much stronger. That's a rule all the time. In Kedusha and not Kedusha, You know, sometimes you tell your wife, I love you. You know, you're not in the mood of loving her. But if you say it out, it comes. You know what I'm saying? The speech is a very powerful thing. In Kedusha, it has a... So Nachman says, it's not enough you should think, but you should... But I find for beginnings, it's very hard for them to talk. So it's much easier to think. But if you could say it out, after you calm down, and say out something that you really want. First, my morning meditation is Amagashmias. It's the first thing that we could talk about. This is not working out. This is not working out. Hashem, help me work out. And then I could talk about my spirituality. But when you try today, I want you to take your breathing. I want you to bring God into your thoughts. I want you to think that the Rebbeinu Shalom is with you, His mother. And then I want you to long and desire, I want to connect to Hashem. It's very, very powerful. You know, the longing and desire and wanting and is you know, Chazal say a very interesting thing. The Chazal say that with the story of Shechem with Dinah, Shechem said, Choshke b'ni, Dovke, at Cheshik, I desired her, I wanted her. The Medrash goes, if a person would do this to Hashem, he'll be very connected. You know, I always joke, I grew up from, so we didn't have this experience, but I've spoken to people who, you know, were chasing a girl, but the things they did just to get a girl's attention with teenagers, just mind-boggling, you know what I mean? You know, creative things and just how to get her attention, thinking that this is the glick of my life. I say glick in English,
Apex.
What do you say?
The point.
The point of my life. If I only get this girl to talk to me, then everything is going to be okay. Right? We do crazy, because if you want something, there's nothing that's going to stop you. We have a call. If you want something very badly, there's a very powerful, painful thing that Rav Nachman says, and someone told me in the secular world, this famous Goy wrote it, but it comes from Rav Nachman. I am what I am because that's all what I wanted to be. I am. Because if I would have wanted to be more, I would have been a lot more than I am. I am what I am because that's exactly how much desire I wanted. You always ask yourself, you wanted to be more? If you really would have wanted more, you would have become more. You didn't want it so badly. You know, it's a dream, you know, you have dreams to be. It's also incredible. One of the great things about meditation is, I want to tell you, one of the greatest things, because you take responsibility for yourself. After a while you meditate, you more realize, I am responsible for my life. Many people walk around feeling they're not responsible, things happen to them, the more you focus in meditation, you see, I am what's happening to me, I am responsible. You know what I mean? This is me who's running my life. There's no one else running my life. Any questions before we start?
I have a question about talking it out. That's called Hispaididus?
There's so many different ways of meditation. The Tanya meditation was just to think about the greatness of Hashem, His bonus. Nachman held, if you say it out, it's extremely powerful. And he said, say it out, davening to Hashem in the way of praying. Not just say it out, Hashem is Melech HaOretz Kavod. The Baruch Hashem, let me feel greatness. Let me feel that you're all over. Let me feel that you're running the world. I can give you a mashal. I'll tell you, when my mother was not well and chaos, I just said, let me feel you're running the world and it's up to you and it's going to happen. And let me feel this. And I just davened. It calmed me down. It made me much stronger. You know what I mean? It made me focused. It made me be there at the moment. You know what I mean? Very often we could be sitting by someone dying, but we're not there. You know, our mind is all over the place, and we're frightened, and we're not focused, and not just. You could be sometimes we sit at a Shabbos table, you're not there. Your mind is all over. But the more you meditate, if people meditate a lot, become very focused, living in the presence. Yes.
In the mimer on Ruach, on the crest, he talks a lot about Shlemut and Chisaron, and I'm curious, like, if you could explain it all, like, what does he mean?
So what he's referring is another long Torah in Nachman that says, okay, so we're going to have to go off tangent a little bit and have a much deeper thing that you wanted. Reb Nachman says that the ruach of the world comes through a tzaddik. To explain this better, I told you Hevel. It goes. Hevel is what's his name? Is Hevel, and Moshe Rabbeinu was a Gilgal of Hevel. So the ruach of every person has to go through a tzaddik or chas v'shalom through a rasha. There's a tzaddik yisodoinam, it's called, and with through him comes the ruach. But he says that if a person is connected to a tzaddik, then when he sighs and he brings air into himself, he's mashlem the chesronis. We all have things missing in our lives. Now, that's why this is a long talk. Sometimes we think we're missing things in life, and it's not missing. I'm sure we all have this thinking, if only this would work out, this. But sometimes things are missing. Things are not, sometimes panasa, sometimes happiness, sometimes pain, sometimes life is so complex, things that are not always there. So Nachman says, if you sigh and connect yourself to tzaddik, you take the hevel of the tzaddik, and it comes into you, and you can be zoicha to shleimus, to fulfill that you need. Doesn't mean it's going to happen magic. You do it, and the magic is going to happen. It means that the more you daven, the more you can be mushlam to fulfill what's missing. Let's take a marshal, take a marshal of someone wants children. Doesn't have children. Doesn't mean he's going to do it, and his wife is going to become pregnant that night. But slowly, the koyach of because we breathe anyways, if the air comes to the tzaddik, sort of to say, then it has a shleimus to it. It's like a sort of a spiritual air. That's what he explains. Because Hevel was Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is the leader. The Baruch wanted there should be a leader in Klal Yisrael. And if you notice, entire Nadav in the Parshias, if Klal Yisrael would have just said to Moshe Rabbeinu, they panicked, there was no water. They would have not made a rebellion. Say, Moshe Rabbeinu, you're our leader. What do we do? We're thirsty. It would have been a whole different parsha. Then all of a sudden, the panic is no food. Moshe Rabbeinu, he brought us out here. Maybe speak to Hashem. They didn't do that. You know why? They rebelled against Moshe. Why did you bring us out? They pulled away from Moshe Rabbeinu. If you're very close to Moshe Rabbeinu, you say, I love you dearly. You did a great job, took us out of Mitzrayim, but we need food. It would have been a whole different parsha. You follow? This is through the entire chet of Klal Yisrael. The Sasemis points it out in the Ptzudik HaKohen, most because they pulled away from Moshe Rabbeinu. If they would have just said, humbling, we're going into Eretz Canaan, it's a little frightening. Moshe Rabbeinu would explain to them how not to be frightening. They sort of always pulled away. If you're closer to the Kedusha, to the Tzaddik, the shleimus comes much easier. Any other question?
Just to follow up on that, is that a matter of doing? In other words, what does that mean at tzaddik? How do you connect to the How do you connect to the tzaddik?
Well, you learn according to Breslov, you learn the Kitubaran, you learn his Torahs, you learn Kitalochas, you focus on it, and you believe that he's the tzaddik right now, and that could help you.
What you're learning,
the limud, yeah. Or I sometimes in the morning, part of my meditation says I'm a kasha to the tzaddik. And I really feel it's incredible. I'm a kasha to Nachman Breslov. He did say that you make his kashas, he will elevate you. That's what I do. Part of, an hour meditation, you got to find things to meditate about. So that's one of the things that I meditate every day.
Does the Rav not make the meditations monotonous, kind of repetitive?
I change. I take different titles. I focus on different things. I'll share. That's important. He has to go. You know what? Lately, I'm focusing on one of Nachman's titles. Nachman says a very, very powerful Torah. And I wish I could explain it the depths how he says it. Well, I'll try. He says, the Rebbeinu Shalom, this is how I explain it to make it understandable. The Rebbeinu Shalom created the world, created the sun, created the entire universe. And he put a lot of the laws of nature. It's going to do exactly what Hashem wants it to do, right? The sun is going to do exactly what it was programmed. So the Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't have nachas riach, nothing. It doesn't. A guy made a computer with the software, and it does exactly what he commanded it. So what? You put the software in, it's going to do exactly what you have done. But if someone on his free will does the will of Hashem, that is the greatest glory, the teferes that the Rebbeinu Shalom has. So Rav Nachman says a moire dige zach. I'll try to, and this is what I meditate. Maybe it's going to help you guys. He says that the Rebbeinu Shalom glorifies from every Jewish person on the smallest item. You don't need a big thing like he made tikkun chatzos, or he davens for 5 hours. Just that he gave a little tzedukah, he helped someone, smiled to someone, shook his payas, shook his talis. The way he shook his talis, that itself, the Rebbeinu Shalom has the teferes. I say an amazing story. Let me tell you an amazing story that happened in the times of the Rizal. This is Reb Chaim Vital brings the story. Times of the Rizal, there was the story goes like this. Rizal sent his Talmud Reb Chaim Vital, go tell the rabbi of Tzfas, there was a rabbi, he's going to die at Shana Shudas. I came running to the Rizal. So this is the story that unfolded. In the times of the Rizal, there was a lot of the Moranos who came from Spain to live in Tzfas. This guy was a big Amoritz, they didn't know anything. He heard in the speech, in Shavuos, what he heard in the speech was that shtei chalas, in Shavuos, and B'Samigdash, you bring two big chalas for a korban. He understood that the Rebbeinu Shalom wants 2 chalas, not just Shavuos, every week. So every Friday and every Thursday night, he and his wife would be awake all night, bake the bread of chalas. He would sneak in early in the morning in the shul, put it into Durna Kodesh, and say, hearty appetite. We work so hard, and hearty appetite. And he'd come back later after davening, see what's gone. Entire Shabbos, they would dance from joy. Hashem took our carbon. He ate. And he and his wife were overjoyed. This was going away. What really happened? The Shabbos looks like it was OCD. And he came to shul, and he noticed the curtain was a little bit off. He would open it up, and he'd find the challah. He took it home. And finally, the Shabbos was trying to figure what's going on. And he stays awake all night. Sees the guy comes middle of the night and says to the Rebbeinu Shalom, with the joy, you ate it all this week, so we baked it again, and hearty appetite. And the guy comes out and he says to him, I take the challahs. What are you talking about? He says, after davening, he called him over to the rabbi. The rabbi tells him, are you crazy? I think Hashem eats your food. What's with you? That's what happened Shabbos morning. So the Rizal said, in Shemayim, I want you to hear this story. In Shemayim, they had no nachas riach from such a thing since the Churban Beis Hamikdash. Since the Churban Beis Hamikdash, the Rebbeinu Shalom never had such nachas ruach. So tamim, so pure this guy meant. So, and you took it away, you're going to die Shalosh Shudas. And the rabbi cried, he says, there's nothing I could do, and Shalosh Shudas, he passed away. Now the story is so profound because a guy thinks that Hashem eats, according to the Rambam, is apikoidis. I don't know if you know, the Rambam says, you megashim Hashem, you're not apikoidis, the Rambam says. Right? So Mamela, Afa Biken, the guy made up a mitzvah, and the Rebbeinu Shalom had nachas riach from it. So the truth is, the Rebbeinu Shalom is proud of every person. Every person. See, but what we do is we look at a person, we quickly judge him. Well, he's not my type. Yes, my type. He's a chassid, non-chassid. What's strange about him? We have a chip in our hand and computer that quickly sizes everyone up. And instead of looking at the Rebbeinu Shalom, this is the beauty of Hashem. the Jewish nation is the greatest glory of Hashem. And he looks at every person and he gets glorified. So part of my meditation is I think Hashem is proud of me. You know, there's that he's really proud of me. And then I look at, not just I look around everyone. I try to meditate how this is the glorification of Hashem. He's so proud that here we are doing His will. You know, God created us in a way we could do whatever we want. It's one of the most fascinating things. You ever thought about it? He created us. You could do something against His will. You could listen to Hashem, not listen to Hashem, be religious, not be religious, how religious, what you do. And the Rebbeinu Shem is so proud of every person, of every push. If you pushed yourself, make sure you ate kosher and you went out of your way, boy, is Hashem proud. Let it be kashrus, let it be a mitzvah. You push yourself to learn, you push yourself to daven, you got someone to smile, you're raising your children the right way, you want them to be to learn Torah and Kedusha. Every minute thing, so Menachem he says much, much deeper. He explains that everything in the creation is connected. That means when you doing a mitzvah, there's a certain tree growing that way because it's connected to you. So if we look at the world, the Rebbeinu says there should be trees, right? You know what the Rizal says? There is no trees that is the same. We know now there's no DNA that's the same. No fingerprint is the same. No one ever looked like you. As I always joke, us Chinese people all look alike. Right? No one ever looked like you. No one ever is going to look like you. It's amazing. Ever think about it? There's billions of people. You are unique, and everything in the world is somehow connected to you, to a certain person. To your mitzvah, the reason it looks this way is because you did a certain mitzvah. So my meditations lately is, I focus on this, now I try to think about this. This works together with the Zalman, how, and I talk to Hashem about it. That I was really proud of every person, proud of my children, proud of it. It elevates a person. See, we are very negative. We don't even realize how negative it is. Never realize how negative we are. Much quicker to criticize, extremely quickly to criticize. I tell people that Hallmark does not sell cards of criticism. You know that? Do you know why? 3 reasons. When I criticize, I don't want to wait till I go to the store or go onto the computer, download the kind of thing. I'm makbez rizim and dino mitzvahs. Immediately I want to do it. I don't want to wait. It's number 1. Number 2, the reason Hallmark doesn't do it, you can't tell the passion from the card. I want my wife and children to see how angry I am. That's enough just to say I'm annoyed. Well, I want a chassidische brand, you know what I mean? I want to know. Second of all, Hallmark is a small paragraph. When I'm angry, I want to say it with that. Megillas Esther, you know what I mean? Say it over and over again. Hallmark cannot do it. But when I have to say I appreciate someone, I'm not so makbez Medina mitzvahs. I'm not so makbez it has to be so passionate. I'm not so makbez it has to be so long. Isn't that amazing? And the negatively, we are. It's even better than that. Hallmark needs to give us the nusach. We don't even know. I say this story. It was once my daughter. It was a long time because she's married almost 10 years. She was a girl. And we do the shopping at Ralph's. And I noticed that people standing in line by the cards. I asked her, why are so many people? She said, you don't know, it's Valentine's Day. No, it was Mother's Day. It was Mother's Day. I said to my daughter, let's see how long they were staying. We're going to do the shopping. And if they'll be still standing, we come back. We do the shopping 20 minutes, half of the people there. I say to my daughter, when they get annoyed at the mom, do they stay 20 minutes to think how they say it? How chutzpah should I be to my mom, or which way? No. They just call up, Mom, boom! But here, when they're standing there, this is too mushy, this is yes mushy. I don't know what takes so long to choose a card, but it was 20 minutes still standing there choosing a card. See, negativity has its own machine. It doesn't need an engine. We have our own. I once said over that I Sukkot once, not long ago, two grandchildren, two 2-year-olds, and they put up a tantrum. I tell my wife they must go to the same yeshiva, because even though one lives in Borough Park, one lives in Lakewood, but they do the same type of a tantrum. You ever notice 2 years old? No, exact same tantrum. It's built in us how to be negative, how to put a tantrum. But to be positive, we don't know how to be positive. We don't know how to it doesn't come with the same brand. You got annoyed at your wife, you got annoyed and let her have it. I once asked my daughter, one time, our neighbors were fighting, a couple were fighting. I asked my, did you hear them fight? She says, yeah, they were fighting quite loud in the middle of the night. They were screaming at each other. I said to my daughter, they always walk hand in hand, like normally not the most religious people. Did you ever hear him scream, I love you that loud? Never. No, you never hear him scream, I love you that loud. But they were arguing, that you did hear. Negativity doesn't, how's it itself? The positiveness, you have to work, you have to focus, you have to do it, it's a whole different thing. So anyway, so that's what, when you think about how the Rebbeinu Shalom has such nachas, this is the glory. The Rebbeinu Shalom, us sitting here, believe it or not, the Rebbeinu Shalom gets glorified by us sitting here. Why are we sitting here? We want to connect to Hashem. This itself is incredible, the Rebbeinu Shalom. You all came here with a purpose, trying to find ourselves, get connected to Hashem. That's all what we're here for. This Rebbeinu Shalom is the greatest nachas. That a guy, built a spacecraft, or a guy, big deal. So now it's going to be, the world was standing before the spacecraft, before the airplane. But what Rebbeinu Shalom wants, he wants us to recognize him, to be close to him, to love him. That's what the whole thing of Yiddishkeit is that way. So every smallest thing that you do, so that's what I do, meditate. Okay, can we meditate now? So, let's start again. I want to know where we're holding because, so, did anyone else want to talk about did you meditate this week? No, behind you? Was good?
Yeah.
Were you able to focus after this? You were able to. Not everyone said they were able to focus. So the trick is that let's take breathing. How long did you guys need to breathe to calm down? 3 minutes, less?
No, I was able to do like 2 minutes of
breathing.
Yeah, I've done meditation before, so like I'm able to
calm down.
Yeah.
The calming down part wasn't so hard for me. It was more of an anchor. The breathing was like an anchor for when my mind started to run.
Yes.
To focus back on the breathing.
And when you focus back, you calm down. Were you able to let go of the anger?
I'm sorry?
Were you able to let go of the anger?
Anchor.
Like
Anchor. Oh, but you said anchor. No, but I want to just say, often people meditate, they tell me, they get very angry. I've heard this from people. And the reason is because when you calm down, the true feeling comes, what you're feeling then. See, when you calm down, so what rises to the top? If you're a calm person, calmness. But if you're really annoyed at something, all of a sudden that rises. So what I do for myself when I was younger, remember, I just brought God into my pain. You're only angry because someone hurt you. I always tell us if someone hurt you, it was Hashem wanted this to happen. It must be for your good. I don't know how, I don't know why, but whatever happens to us is for our good. I had someone many years ago told me he never has a child with great special needs, and it was very, very hard on him. And he said the only thing, and I told him to meditate, he said it helped enormously because of it. He was very angry. He told me afterwards he's extremely angry at Hashem. Why did I have a child with such needs? And he said after a while, it helped him meditate. I told him, let the anger, let Hashem there, know that there's a reason, that Rebbeinu Shalom is there with you, and it helps enormously. Okay, so that what I really want you to try is when you meditate after you're breathing, try to let Hashem into yourself. In every part. If you're annoyed, if you're angry, and if you have something that you're struggling emotionally, physically, spiritually, sometimes we want to break a habit and whatever, just tell yourself Hashem is with you right there. Try to think about this, that Rebbeinu Shalom created us, and it's incredible how he created us. If you want food for thought, it's getting late. Maybe we'll do it next week. Let's meditate. Remind me next week. Let's explain this. Okay, so try to bring Hashem into your thought, and if you could go to the next step, try to long to Hashem. I want to connect to you with a deep desire to rouse into yourself. Okay?
Sorry, just to clarify, the first part you're saying to let Hashem in, let's say it's a bad habit. Let's say smoking the jewel. Okay, let's say it's something like that.
So you think to yourself, Hashem is all over, and in my addiction and in my mishigasan, what I have, Hashem is there, knows there, and He's there, and I will be able to overcome it. Mm-hmm. He's there with me. Mm-hmm. See, let me explain this better. Let me explain this even. I think I spoke about it, but let me explain it again. The Rebbeinu Shalom said to Yaakov Avinu, "Hinei unoichi imach, yishmarticha b'chol asher." So my question always is: was God with my? Did Hashem watch Yaakov Avinu? He didn't watch him. I spoke about it. He wakes up in the morning. This is not his wife. Did he watch him? Didn't watch him. When was the last time someone get married? Wakes up in the morning. It's not his wife. It's not a kala. I don't think it happened since then. Mm-hmm. And when was the last time Hashem says, "Watch you, your daughter gets raped"? It's the most horrifying thing. The teretz is God said to Yaakov Avinu, Yaakov Avinu knew he's going to have tzaras. Because Hashem didn't tell my father, my grandfather. Tell me he's telling him, I have it, but what Hashem told him, you're not alone. I am with you. That's the biggest blessing. Whenever you go through a tough time of life, the frightening part of it is you feel alone. And if you tell yourself, I'm not alone, God is with me in there, it's the most soothing, most doesn't change the reality, but it changed the way you adapt to it. Okay. talk about the meditation?
Definitely led me to a longing for Hashem. I was able to focus on that. Very powerful.
It's very, very powerful. If you could focus to just a few minutes a day, your whole day is going to be different. That's why I love to do it in the morning. About to do it in the morning, my whole day is a different day. Even, sometimes days, no 2 days is the same day. Especially today, I had an upsetting day to take care of something. It does make a difference. It has an effect on me the whole day. No matter what I do and how it's very. Yeah, no.
So first of all, when I was breathing in, I was like imagining that I'm breathing in, not the, like good air from, I was thinking about Rav Nachman, and I was like imagining breathing out the bad air, and that helped me very much with the breathing also, because like it's not only focusing on breath, it's also like bringing, I don't know, is that a good
And that's
thing?
very good. Sometimes that happens. Yeah, that's very good.
And then I was thinking, it was very powerful just keeping out, and what I was doing is just like, Hashem, at the end of the day, you made me have this addiction, and you're going to give me the power to get through it, and I just keep on going over. I kind of developed like a sentence almost in my head, and I just keep on reviewing that and reviewing that. Is that what?
That's also very powerful. I hope next week we could learn how to say it out, talk to Hashem. Maybe we should go on a hike like you guys told me, and sit and I used to do it with my smicha program. We will do it when it stops raining. It's very powerful. You go sit in the mountain, you sit alone, and you just talk to Hashem. It's incredible, powerful. Yes.
That's like to get up in the morning and to talk. We know it's powerful, but it also takes a lot of willpower to do it.
Willpower.
What advice do you have to muster up the willpower to do it? We're talking like.
I wish I would have the answer. When I was a young man, I met Reb Gedalia Koenig. I don't know if you heard about him, one of the big, best of Chassidim. I grew up in America. So I asked him this question from a reading. I was very young then. I was about 23, 20. I asked him, in reading Rav Nachman, I see the most important thing is the will. Because if you really want something, it's going to happen. How to arise my will? So he answered me, learn the Likutim Aran. It will arouse your desire. Keep on learning. Then his son told me, which also I found in the Kita Halacha says, you should do tshuva on the chatas neurim, on the spilling the seed. When you're young, what you do, tikkun abris. He said if you do tshuva on that also helps a person to have a desire for kedusha. But the truth is, the most simple way is to say it out. Say out, I want to get up. When I was young, I was very determined. It was very difficult raising a house full of children. I get up in the morning since I'm young. Sometimes very difficult. I just said it out to the bunch of them. I want to get up tomorrow morning, and on time, and it's just saying it out over and over again. It really helps.
So
Talking to Hashem.
Before you go to sleep, it's just like.
Before I go to sleep, I tell Hashem, I want to wake up with this. People tell, I've had it more than once. I tell them, say, I want to wake up at a certain time. I wake up at exactly that time. But I don't like to tell people. I used to tell people to do it in the morning, and I find most people are not disciplined, not to do it in the morning. So, but if you could discipline yourself, I get up early in the morning. It's the sweetest time of my day. No one around, no one is bothering me. It's me and God. Anyone wants to share? So, try this week every day. When do you meditate every day?
So lately I've been doing it before I try to go, I get early to shul and like I do it in my car.
It's good.
But I love the idea of doing it like just waking up at a specific time, even making it ceremonial in the sense that like I get up and this is my time to do it. I feel like is
I don't know, what is your age and how old are your children?
10, 9, 8, and 5.
So I had a house full of children, and the only priest time I had was early before the baby woke up even. Yeah, if you could discipline yourself. And I don't like to say it because I found in the time people that have a hard time, but if you could discipline yourself, it's great. When you meditate,
I find myself like 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes before I go to sleep.
that's great.
Because going to sleep turns into a little like cheshbon and nefesh a little bit, like I go through the day and
That's very great. If you could do it before you go to sleep. I used to do it. I'm so exhausted by the time I get to bed. But that's great.
and then I do a mop. I started doing Krishna Alamita, like you said this week.
Yes.
It's a whole other experience.
It doesn't you sleep better.
Oh my goodness.
People don't realize that. You say Krishna Mahamita, you say Mappa, you sleep much better.
Oh, yeah.
I've told this to a lot of people, and people have told me this. Krishna Mahamita, you sleep a much more peaceful sleep. And you could say I'm apple, and if your wife wants to talk to you afterwards, talk to her. You know, people don't say I'm apple because don't say Krishna, because maybe she's involved. So let's all try to commit ourselves this week. I'm going to tell you, I'm doing it for more than 45 years. Honestly, I'm doing it almost 50 years. And the Yetzer Hara every day tells me, don't do it for an hour. It's too much. Amazing? My goal is always to do at least an hour. Every day. You know why the Yetzer Hara doesn't want to meditate? Because that's the one thing you connect to God. That's it, is the word. Let me tell you a good word. You have a few minutes. I'll tell you a little bit Chassidish Kabbalah Shabbat. But Amola came, the Bani Shalom says, Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeni and oyin. Remember the word Hayesh? Last week's parsha is God with us if He's not with us. So Amalek made it that we doubted if God is with us or not with us. Let me tell you a very profound thing. If you could write this down and you could repeat it, it's going to be on tape, so maybe you're going to. Hanuchosh Hashiani, the snake seduced me, misled me. So the Megala Amiko says a very profound thing. The word Hashiani means if you take the Shem Adna, Aleph Daled Nun, the Shem Adna, you take out the Daled, becomes Ani. Correct? You take from the Shin Daled, you, the name, you take out the Daled, becomes Yesh. Once you take out the Daled, it's all about me. Ani Yesh, Yesh Ani. How do you say in America? There's a word for this.
Self-centered?
Yeah, what is the word for narcissist? It's all about you. The Daled in Kabbalah is Malchus, responsibility. So if you take out the Daled from the Aleph Daled Nun, becomes Ani. Take the Daled from Yesh, from Shein Daled Yid, you take out became Yesh. Hashiani is these two words together. The two words, Yesh Ani. Because when Udam Rishon was Choyta, he took out the Malchus, it became total narcissistic. Hashiani. The same words, Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeni oyin, Yesh and oyin is from that also. If we don't have God in us, we don't have the Malchus, then we become very narcissistic, self-centered, it's all about me. But if I do, I connect to Hashem, then it's you become much more responsible, much more a better husband, a better father, a better friend, much more there. You're not your person who has malchus. He's got malchus in him. He's much more devoted, and so Amalek. This is what Amalek wanted. Amalek wanted to be disconnected from Hashem. Don't be connected to Hashem. That's why I told you, I watch this all the time. I watch the your generation. I watch people ask each other, how's your Shalom Bayis going? My generation, that was no. You don't ask a guy, how's your Shalom Bayis? Over here, things going good with your wife, things not going good with your wife. You ask a guy, how's your relationship with God? He looks at you strange. Hey, son, what's with you? You know what I mean? What's with you? And the most important thing for us, how is your relationship with God? Are you connected to Him or are you not connected to Him? Do you talk to Him? Do you love Him? It's like he's how do you say in America? It's the big pink elephant in the room. We don't talk about him.
The big elephant.
What do you say, sir?
Just the elephant in the
Yeah,
room.
Yes, we don't talk about it. It's there. It's not talked about. The most important thing is: are we connected to God or not? Do we love Him? Do we fear Him? Do we want to be connected to Him? What is it? So I hope, tell yourself you'll do it every day. But the only way it works if you have a set time to do it. If you have a set time in the morning. Someone told me in my neighborhood, he does it. He's a lawyer. Every day he has to give the secretary off, the Mishigas. They're not allowed to answer the phones even in 45 minutes. He has to give him off. He says, I have to answer the phones. It's 45 minutes of meditation he does. Anyway, he sits in the office, the phones don't come through anyways, and you keep on doing, you see, you'll love it. Yes?
I came in late, sorry, but you guys were talking about meditation, and there was a couple of things I just wanted to share that I found in my time doing this, which was, I used to set an alarm called the Ipo the Dut alarm. And when I first started, it was 60 seconds. 60 seconds for Hashem, no matter what. And at the time when I started it, I had started a very difficult job that was very demanding, and sometimes I'd be with my boss and the alarm would go off, and I would leave. My boss would be talking to me and would say, excuse me, and I would leave for a second, do 60 seconds and come back. In the beginning it didn't turn out, but a lot of interesting things started to happen in my life when that happened, and then I stopped for a while and started, but I feel like davening and meditation is almost one and the same.
That's true. But I want to elaborate what he just said. When I was young, I did that. I found I couldn't get myself to meditate long, so I increased it. It's like a running. Remember I told you, if I would run around the room, I'll be exhausted, but you keep it once, you do it a second time. You build up your stamina, you build up. So it does help, what he just said. You do it a minute, you push yourself, then you can do it 2 minutes, you push yourself, it's true. Anyways, all of you, try to commit yourself, and you see your life is going to slowly change. I've heard this from a lot of people, changed in many, like he just said, it changes many different ways. Again, thank you for Yoel, and